Jeff, speak into the mic to your right.
This one right here?
If you want to grab a water.
Very good. Well, let me first thank everyone for being here and thanking the committee for putting this event on. It's my pleasure to present to you. Yes, sir. All right, you got it. You got it. Let's go.
I'll give you that opportunity, but we got some stuff.
All right.
Okay? First question. Regardless of a minor rate reduction, the effective property tax rate is up about 38% over the past 5 years. Do you think this is a problem? And if you do, what do you plan to do to address that problem?
Well, as budget and audit chair for 8 years, I feel the city has delivered very conservative budgets over the last 9 years that I've been on council. Something I've been very proud of. We weathered an economic downturn, one of the biggest recessions we have seen. And at that same time, we were still able to build a capital reserve fund, something I'm very proud of and something that we were told couldn't be done. And by the time I left council, we had built that to $10 million. So that's a very proud feat I have of this council. I do believe that we have delivered very conservative budgets. 50% of our budget goes to police and fire, which our citizens tell us is their #1 priority. We reduced our debt service. When I first got on council, it was 50% of our budget went to debt service. By the time I got off, it was 35%. So that took a lot of work and heavy lifting to reduce that. So there's always things that we can do better. We put in a program for the senior tax exemption, which is something that I was the architect of. And also, I believe now is something that we need to look at is phasing in a homestead exemption here in Frisco. We don't have one, and I think now is the time for us to start looking into that.
Okay, the latest comprehensive plan approved by the council forecasts a population of over 400,000, which is a density of almost 2 times that of Dallas. Do you think this is acceptable? And if so, what would you do about it?
I think this is probably one of the biggest stark contrasts between me and my opponent, which is I do not believe in a more dense urban plan. For me, our urban density belongs along the spine, the tollway corridor, and 380. But I don't want to see it be wall-to-wall concrete. So my focus is building more quality and less quantity. That's how you deliver the business here in Frisco. There's a reason that they've been choosing Legacy West. And the reason is because Plano has been delivering them the right type of developments with open space, unique design, destination dining, great retail, and those types of things. That's how you're going to attract the Fortune 100 company. That's how you're going to attract the entrepreneurhood of Frisco. And that's the type of development I want to see here in Frisco. More is not better.
We've seen that Dallas is suffering budget shortfalls due to their defined benefit pension plan. The defined benefit pension plan for Frisco relies on taxpayers to pay pension shortfalls indefinitely. How do you plan to avoid the situation of shortfalls when demanded?
Well, the city of Frisco actually has a hybrid plan, which is a defined contribution with a guaranteed rate of return. So it's a little bit different than a defined benefit plan. And so that enables the city to better plan out our budgeting cycle, something that we worked very hard on our Budget and Audit Committee to make sure that we were properly funded. We certainly want to be able to compete for the best talent for police, fire, and other employees here throughout the city of Frisco and be able to offer competitive salaries to get that kind of talent, but do so in a fiscally conservative way, which is not to have a true defined benefit plan, but a defined contribution with the guaranteed rate of return. It's a much more efficient way to do that.
Collin County has asked Frisco to incorporate an area for Section 8 low-income housing. Are you aware of this, and do you support this?
I am aware of this, and in that specific zoning case, no, I do not support it.
Yeah, the next question is, what do you see now as the primary role for the EDC, and is it still needed, and if so, why?
The EDC is absolutely needed. It's one of our greatest tools that we have as a city to attract and retain business here in Frisco. And it's given us a competitive edge over many cities that don't have EDCs. In fact, you've seen cities like Plano who didn't have an EDC go fund that with their general fund. And so absolutely that gives us a unique benefit, and I do think it's necessary going forward in the future. Now, what I don't believe is just giving incentives for the sake of incentives. I think we could do a much better job of asking for things in return when we do give incentives for companies. And I don't think it's proper just to give incentives for the sake of density, which seems to be a lot of the strategy that we've been doing here lately. For me, it's about giving incentives for the right types of developments, the right types of companies to come here, and not just fill out a one-page form and come pick up your check.
Do you see a problem when 2 or more council members work for the same company?
You know, this, I believe that this is the biggest stage with the brightest light. So both candidates should be fully vetted in any type of conflict that could come up, whether it's their employer with the school district, whether it's my company. I fully believe you should peel back the onion on every single decision. You should be looking at who's funding people's campaigns and how that could have influenced potential future zoning cases. So absolutely all that's on the table. For my specific question, I have made a concerted effort through my 9 years to live up to the CPA standard, which is independence in both fact and appearance. Day one of accounting school, and I've lived up to that standard. And so, no, I don't see it as an issue for Tim, and if it ever became an issue, then we would resolve that problem.
So what are your plans or your vision for Main Street roads in the downtown area?
I'm so excited about downtown Frisco. We are finally seeing some vitality down there, some unique restaurants, some unique experiences, and we're starting to see investment in our downtown, which we've been trying to do for a decade, and it's such an exciting time to see that finally happening. You know, for down there, all things are on the table as far as how to continue that investment. What I want to see is I want to see it to be a more walkable environment. I think that's what we all want, is to be able to walk from restaurant to restaurant, retail to retail. How to accomplish that, there's been a number of great ideas as far as, you know, I've seen stoplights, different pavings on roads, maybe one way down east to get to Preston, one way back west if you could find the land to do that. You know, I've heard great ideas as far as, you know, maybe taking out the parallel parking, maybe making it walkable, creating more patio space or sidewalk, maybe making 4 lanes, but trying to slow traffic other ways. So, you know, in my opinion, downtown Frisco is the heart of any city. And so it's upon us to make sure we make it a vibrant place. And the only way that we're going to be able to do that is to make it a more walkable environment.
Thank you. We'll now start the lightning round. You have about 2 seconds for questions. Please limit it to yes, no, or just one word answer you can get. First one, have you or someone on your behalf ever offered for someone's support or campaign contribution a board position or committee assignment?
Never.
Should Frisco be a sanctuary city?
No.
Do you support Senate Bill 6 on privacy and safety using a bathroom or changing facility?
I feel our current ordinances take care of that.
Is it a conflict of interest for the mayor to sit on the EDC?
That I do believe so, yes.
Do you support police and fire unions?
I don't feel like our associations operate as unions. I feel like they operate as professional organizations, and that's how I think they should run.
Should Frisco apartments or police associations be able to have a voice in selecting their chief?
I believe you should always listen to your employees at all levels as far as selecting and hiring positions. So absolutely the door will be open to City Hall.
Do you support rail service to Frisco?
No, I do not.
Are you in favor of hiring private lobbyists to defeat bills providing taxpayer relief?
When needed to protect our citizens' interests.
Should the city provide financial incentives for small businesses?
When necessary to create jobs or grow other companies.
Have you ever voted for a Democrat or in a Democrat primary?
Never.
Do you think it is ethical for a city council member to endorse a council candidate?
Absolutely.
That's the end of the lightning round. You now have 1 minute for a closing statement.
Well, thank you all again for being here. Thank you to the committee for putting this on and for Collin College and hosting us. What an extraordinary event to have this much turnout. You know, for me, you know, I've been blessed to, you've heard from some of my colleagues as far as, you know, why they are choosing to endorse my campaign publicly. It's because they see the leadership skills that I'm going to be able to bring. You know, I am proud to have the Police and Fire Association's endorsements because I know I make public safety the #1 priority. But at the end of the day, what we're really seeking is your support, the support of the voter, and which vision towards Frisco do you want to see Frisco become. For me, it is a much less dense environment. It's open space in our commercial developments. It's more parks. It's more livability. That's how you're going to attract the Fortune 100 company, the entrepreneur that we've been trying so hard to get here to Frisco, but have been picking Plano time and time and time over us. You have to have a plan to get those kind of businesses in, and I have that plan to bring them here. We all want the great things that mixed-use environments bring, whether it's the destination dining and retail, but we don't want it at the expense of quality of life of our residents, and that's a priority of mine. Thank you again. My name is Jeff Cheney, and I want to be your mayor. Thank you.